I am 83 years old, and there is one conversation I cannot stop hearing. Not a fight, not a dramatic moment, just a quiet Tuesday evening in 1987, my father sitting in his chair by the window, the lamp on, his hands folded in his lap the way they always were when he was tired. And me, standing in the doorway with my coat still on, keys in my hand, already thinking about the drive home, and the children waiting, and the 100 things I had not finished yet. He looked up at me and he said, "Sit with me a little, just a little while." And I said, "Papa, I cannot tonight. I will come Thursday." And I kissed his forehead and I left. He died on Wednesday. I never got Thursday, and I have not gone a single morning of my life since then without feeling the weight of that Tuesday. Not the grief of losing him, that was its own separate thing. The weight of the door closing behind me, the sound of my own footsteps walking away from the last chance I did not know was the last chance. I am telling you this because I think you have your own version of that doorway. I think most people do. And I think the reason nobody talks about it plainly is because it is almost too painful to look at directly. But I have lived with it for 36 years, and I have decided that if my carrying it can mean something to you, then it means something to me too. So stay with me, because what I have to say matters more than you might realize right now. My father was not a complicated man. He was a school teacher for 34 years in a small town that did not pay him nearly enough and did not fully deserve him. He was patient in a way that felt almost supernatural to me as a child, the kind of patient that does not come from temperament alone, but from a genuine belief that people are worth your time and attention. He listened the way almost nobody listens anymore, not waiting for his turn to speak, actually listening, taking you in. I did not appreciate what that was until I spent decades in a world full of people who were physically present and mentally somewhere else, and realized my father had been doing something rare and quietly extraordinary every single day of his life. By the time I was in my 40s, I was busy in the particular way that middle age is busy. Children and work and a marriage that needed tending and parents who were aging and a house that always had something wrong with it. My father was in his late 70s by then, still sharp, still himself, but slower, a little smaller than the man I remembered from childhood, the way parents get smaller as you get older, and you were never quite sure when it happened. I visited when I could. I called when I remembered. I told myself that was enough because I needed it to be enough, and I was too exhausted to examine it more honestly than that. He never complained. That was the thing. He never once made me feel guilty for the gaps. He was just always there when I did show up, warm and present, and genuinely glad to see me. And he would make tea, and we would sit and talk, and it was good. It was always good. And I would leave feeling like I had done something right. I did not understand until he was gone that what I was feeling was the relief of proximity, not the satisfaction of truly showing up. I was visiting my father. I was not being with my father. And those two things are not the same. If this is landing somewhere inside you right now, if you are thinking about someone in your own life, a parent, a friend, someone you keep meaning to call, I want you to sit with that feeling for a moment. Do not push it away. That feeling is information. That feeling is your own heart trying to tell you something your schedule keeps interrupting. And if you are finding something in these videos that speaks to you, something that feels true in a way that most things you watch do not, I want to gently ask you to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon. Not because of numbers, because we put something new here every week, and the week you miss might be the one that says exactly what you needed to hear. These are not just videos, they are conversations. And conversations like this one are worth staying for. Now let me tell you about the Tuesday evening itself because I want you to understand it completely. It was October. The leaves were past their best color, that stage where they have gone from beautiful to simply tired, still clinging but past their peak. My father had called me that afternoon at my office, and I had not been able to take the call, and he had left a message with my secretary that said simply, "Tell her I called, nothing urgent." Nothing urgent. I called him back on my way out of the building, and we spoke for 3 minutes while I was walking to my car. He asked how the children were. I told him fine, everyone is fine, Papa. He said he had been thinking about me. I said that was sweet. I told him I would stop by on my way home. He sounded pleased by that, genuinely pleased, the way he always sounded when I was coming. When I arrived, he was in his chair. The house smelled like the soup he had made for dinner, a simple vegetable soup he had been making since before I was born, always with too much dill, always slightly too hot when he first served it. He had saved me a bowl. It was there on the table, covered with a plate to keep it warm, a small gesture so ordinary and so completely him that I could not eat it. I stood in the kitchen doorway and I looked at that bowl and I thought, I really cannot stay. I have to get back. And I went to the living room, and there he was, hands folded, lamp on, tired in the way of a man at the end of a long life who has done his work well and is ready for the quiet. And he said, "Sit with me a little." I said I could not. "Thursday, Papa. I will come Thursday." The bowl of soup was still on the table when my sister called me the next evening. I ate that soup the morning after the funeral. I do not know why. I heated it on the stove, and I sat at his table alone, and I ate it. It tasted like every childhood dinner I had ever sat through complaining it was too hot. And I sat there at 61 years old, and I thought about every time I had been in a hurry. Every time the visit was shorter than it should have been. Every time I kissed his forehead and thought, Thursday, there is always Thursday. There is not always Thursday. That is the thing nobody teaches you. There is not always Thursday, and the people you love are not going to announce when the last chance is arriving so that you can clear your schedule and be ready for it. It comes on an ordinary Tuesday, in the middle of everything else, with your coat still on and your keys in your hand, and then it is gone. I have talked to so many women my age about this, and what I find every single time is that the regrets are almost never about the big moments. They are about the small ones. The phone call that was cut short, the visit that was shortened, the conversation that was postponed to a Thursday that never came. We protect the birthdays and the holidays. We show up for the milestones, and we let the ordinary Tuesdays go because they do not announce themselves as important. But the ordinary Tuesdays are where the relationship actually lives. The milestone moments are the photographs. The ordinary Tuesdays are the real thing. I want to ask you something now, and I want you to actually answer it in your own mind right now, not later. Is there someone in your life who has asked you to sit with them a little, and you said, Thursday? Is there someone who called and left a message that said nothing urgent, and you have not called back yet? Is there a bowl of soup waiting somewhere with a plate over it to keep it warm? Because if there is, if you felt something shift in your chest just now when I asked that, that is not a coincidence. That is your own life trying to hand you something before it is too late to take it. I'm going to tell you what I do now. I am going to tell you what 36 years of carrying that Tuesday morning have taught me about how to live differently. I pick up the phone even when I am busy. Not every time. I am human and imperfect and 83 years old, and some days I do not have the energy. But more often than I would have before, I pick it up because I know what the alternative costs. I say yes to the small visits. The cup of tea that runs 20 minutes longer than I planned. The detour to see someone on the way to somewhere else. I sit with people. I actually sit. Not with one ear on the conversation and one eye on the door. I sit. I look at them. I let them take their time. Because my father was a man who listened like people were worth his time, and I know what it felt like to be on the receiving end of that kind of attention. And I know how rare it is. And I know that the people in my life deserve it from me, even when the world is telling me to hurry up. And the other thing I do, which might sound small, but has changed something real in the way I move through my days, is I say the things out loud. The love, the gratitude, the I am glad you are in my life, and I do not say it enough. My father knew I loved him. I know he knew. But I wish I had said it on that Tuesday instead of Thursday. I will come Thursday. I wish those had been my words going out the door instead of a schedule. Tell people, today, not Thursday. If something in this video is sitting with you right now, if something I said reminded you of someone or stirred something you have been carrying quietly, I would really love for you to tell me in the comments. Tell me who you thought of. Tell me about your Tuesday. Tell me what you wish you had said or done or stayed for. These stories matter. Your story matters. And I read these comments because I am an old woman with time, and because the people who write them remind me every single week that I am not the only one who knows what it is to stand in a doorway and choose the wrong thing. We are in this together. Come find me down there. My father was a school teacher. He spent his whole life believing that people were worth the time it took to truly listen to them. He had more patience than I have ever managed to find in myself, and more grace than most people I have known in 8 decades on this earth. He left me a bowl of soup with a plate on top to keep it warm. He called to say nothing urgent. He asked me to sit with him a little. I have been sitting with him ever since, just 36 years too late. If you are young enough to still have your Thursday, I am begging you to use it like it is Tuesday. Because it is. It is always Tuesday. The clock does not wait for convenient timing, and the people you love do not come with expiration dates printed anywhere you can see them. They are just there, and then one day they are not. And what you are left with is the texture of all the moments you chose and the echo of the ones you did not. Go make the call. Take the detour. Sit with someone a little. Not because you have to, because you get to. And getting to is the whole gift, the entire gift. I did not understand that fully until the gift was gone. My father would have loved this. A stubborn old woman on the internet telling strangers to call their people. He would have found that funny and also completely right. He would have made tea. He would have listened to every word. I think about him every single morning. I think I always will. And I am grateful for that now in a way I could not have imagined in that doorway in 1987. The haunting is not only grief. The haunting is also love. It is the proof that something mattered, and things that matter this much deserve to be said out loud. Watch more of our videos. We have so many more conversations like this one waiting for you. Hit that bell so you do not miss them, because the next one might be the one that finally says the thing you needed to hear. And leave me a comment. Tell me about your doorway. Tell me about your Tuesday. I will be here. I am not in any hurry anymore.